Jennifer Piggott voted for Trump in the November election. Then in February, she was fired from her civil service job.
Absolutely, I feel a little bit betrayed.
MAGA supporters sure do seem to love losing their jobs, either because they can't help themselves from being hateful bigots, or because they voted for a man who looks like Humpty Dumpty after they try to put him back together again. This woman voted for him 3 times, and now she's got this confused look on her face like this isn't exactly what she voted for. She's one of many Trump voters in West Virginia who lost their jobs to Elon Musk's Doge. And folks, this video is the perfect example of the I didn't think the leopards eating face party would eat my face. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like the video and double check that you're subscribed.
She was among more than 125 people dismissed last month from the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
There's always that back and forth conversation now. It's like, you knew this was coming, but we didn't. Like, nobody that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration in office would do to our lives.
What do you mean you didn't know? What did these MAGA voters think getting rid of unelected bureaucrats meant? They work for the government. They mean you. They're acting like they got completely blindsided, like Trump ran on a platform of expanding government jobs and improving the lives of workers. Project 2025 was right there. We all saw it. Here's an article written July 15th, 2024. Project 2025 seeks to dismantle agencies, terminate up to 1 million federal workers. Number 1, because of the proposed deep budget cuts, elimination and privatization of agencies and programs, hiring freezes, caps on the number of personnel, and other anti-government policies, some have estimated that there would be a loss of up to 1 million federal jobs if Project 2025 is implemented. Surprise, surprise, Trump is doing all of those. He's doing every single one on that list.
No kings, no tyrants, no kings, no tyrants.
The cuts have shaken up a community that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. He won West Virginia with 70% of the vote, one of his biggest victories. But the betrayal felt by Piggott, a church-going conservative and 3-time Trump voter, comes as political analysts are examining early signs of a possible backlash in Republican strongholds like Parkersburg, where the government-slashing efforts of Trump and Doge are beginning to hit home.
Elon Musk has basically taken over our government and has calling the shots, unfortunately, it seems to be.
Well, yeah, dude. He didn't come out of nowhere. Here's an article from almost exactly a year ago, March 6th. Elon Musk says he isn't donating to the Trump or Biden campaigns. Musk, one of the richest men in the world, has reportedly met with both Joe Biden's administration and Donald Trump ahead of the 2024 presidential election. This is what he tweeted. Just to be clear, I am not donating money to either candidate for United States president. And by the end, when everything was said and done, he had spent $288 million on the 2024 election. He was doing rallies in Pennsylvania where he was just giving away money to random strangers to vote for Trump. They were all fine with that. That was all cool to get their man elected. I mean, it wasn't like a secret. Here he is at inauguration, thanking everybody and doing the most insane thing of all time.
And let me tell you, I'm gonna work my ass off for you guys. I really will. So thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Right, so these people were all fine with that. They had no problem with Elon Musk literally taking over. But when he turned his sights on their jobs and the jobs of their friends, now all of a sudden they have a problem with it. They thought it was just going to be the DEI hires, who in their minds just means anybody who's a person of color or LGBTQ. And now look at them, joining the Democrats to try to stop the train wreck that they voted for.
A handful of Republican voters who lost their federal jobs joined Democrats at a recent anti-Doge protest near the Bureau of Fiscal Service offices in Parkersburg. But the federal job losses in the state could soon extend beyond the BFS building, says West Virginia University economics professor John Deskins.
West Virginia is at the very top of the states in terms of the federal workforce as a share of total workforce in the state. So if the federal layoffs happen, if they hit West Virginia, we stand to suffer a disproportionate share when those jobs disappear, when that income disappears, when that spending leaves the state economy.
But in Reuters interviews with 36 workers, business owners, and politicians in Parkersburg, Nearly all said that Trump's focus on cutting government spending was a worthy
On the shops, unfortunately, it seems to be.
A handful of Republican voters who lost their federal jobs joined Democrats at a recent anti-Doge protest near the Bureau of Fiscal Service offices in Parkersburg. But the federal job losses in the state could soon extend beyond the BFS building, says West Virginia University economics professor John Deskins.
West Virginia is at the very top of the states in terms of the federal workforce as a share of total workforce in the state. So if the federal layoffs happen, if they hit West Virginia, we stand to suffer a disproportionate share when those jobs disappear, when that income disappears, when that spending leaves the state economy.
But in Reuters interviews with 36 workers, business owners, and politicians in Parkersburg, nearly all said that Trump's focus on cutting government spending was a worthy goal. And Reuters Ipsos polling shows Americans' attitude toward Trump are so far essentially unchanged since he began firing federal workers in February. As of this week, his approval rating was holding steady at 44%.
Cutting costs and waste and fraud and. We love that big picture. I love that big picture. My friends, we were excited about that because it is true. But again, I can't help but go back to the fact that what is the decisions that you're making right now solving in the big picture? It just so the concept of voting for that again, voting for Elon Musk essentially to wreck people's lives, I can't do it.
You know what it's called when somebody says they're going to do one thing and then they turn around and do the opposite thing? It's called getting scammed. That's what happens when you let a con artist be president of the United States. Nobody likes fraud, waste, and abuse. But it's like Republican voters live in that movie where nobody knows how to lie. They seem surprised by the fact that Trump and Elon and whatever conservative dope that's on Fox News says one thing, but then turns around and does the exact opposite. Or when they promise that these job cuts are only going to be surgical to improve the process or get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, and instead just come in with the sledgehammer because that was the goal the entire time. It's almost as if they've been campaigning on small government for decades. Hello, lady, you work for the government. Waste, fraud, and abuse, that's just an excuse. They don't seem to have a problem with this waste, fraud, and abuse. All of the connections that Elon Musk's companies have with various departments and agencies, either through contracts, oversight and regulation, or criminal investigations. All of this waste, fraud, and abuse is all okay. The only problem is you lost your job. Well, tons of people are losing their jobs, and we didn't vote for this. You did. It would be nice if these Republicans took a little bit of responsibility and stopped acting like they're helpless babies who got duped. You knew what you were voting for. Don't act like it's all a surprise.
The economic impact of the mass dismissals across America may not be immediately felt. So far, 100,000 government workers have been fired or taken a buyout. Parkersburg is bracing for another round of layoffs, with all government agencies ordered to make plans to cut career staff by March 13th.
It turns out, if you can convince the poorest government worker that she's better than the best DEI hire, then she won't notice when the billionaire is stealing from her pocket. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.